Okay. Okay. Huckleberry Hans. Everyman Person delights audiences of all ages. First appearance, Huckleberry Meets Willie from the Huckleberry Hounds Show, 1958. Among the most engaging cartoon dogs ever put on paper, the Southern Blue Coonhound Huckleberry Hound was one of Hanna-Barbera's leading characters who had his own comedy television series and guest starred in several animation shows over the years. With Huckleberry, I'm just calling him Huckleberry H, easygoing charm and percent for getting himself into trouble and coming out on top, viewers quickly latch onto this character and create on to this cartoon character and were eager to see what new stunt Huckleberry Hound would pull off next. Huckleberry H shows the ability to juggle, manipulate storylines, and captivate fans in different environments is still a major part of its appeal. In this case, Huckleberry Hound represents the perfect sortage for the audience who are transported to various locations across time and space in animation form, where this dog can keep looking, laughing throughout every adventure with his personality and unmistakable look. Mighty Mouse always saves the day for viewers. First appeared Mouse of Tomorrow from Terrytoons, 1941. Crafted during the golden age of animation and superhero media, the anthropomorphic cartoon superhero Mighty Mouse has been featured in various television shows and short films since his debut. Though he hasn't made much of an impact on modern audiences, the character's lighthearted tales are written in the same vein as comic book stories, which could easily redo today, with crisp animation and commented writing to elevate his percentage in pop culture. What's more, Mighty Mouse messaging can immediately relate to young children and also deliver an action-packed spectacle. Given the divided nature of comic book media in the current media landscape, a new variation of Mighty Mouse can harker back to good old inspiring stories and highlight thrilling action. Johnny Quest embarks on an adventure that hooks fans. The Mystery of Lizard Men from Johnny Quest's September 18th, 1964. Perfectly bent sci-fi narrative with an adventure tone, the Hanna-Barbera cartoon Johnny Quest thrilled audiences with several great characters, especially those of its lead protagonist. The young boy's eagerness to discover the wonders of the world and fight the forces of evil make him a fitting role model for younger viewers, despite his lack of status in the current state of pop culture. Additionally, a protagonist like Johnny Quest would undoubtedly make a big splash in today's animation market with a reboot look. Specifically, as the character action-packed adventure referred back to old radio series and comic books, these kind of stories would not only showcase some of the most inventive tales in fiction, but also surprise audiences at every turn. Oswald the Lucky Rabbit is an animated pioneer. First appearance Charlie Tubbles from Universal Pictures, 1927. Dating back to the early days of the animation industry, the long-forgotten cartoon character created by Walt Disney and UB Iwerks? Oswald. Oh, Oswald. I was wondering why that name sounded familiar. He's the rabbit. The Lucky Rabbit helped shape the landscape of the animation medium for many cartoon characters, where Oswald's lively personality and physical comedy breathed new life into cartoon storytelling and even paved the way for an icon like Mickey Mouse. Yeah, I think the rabbit was before Mickey Mouse. What's more, the character's dynamic and funny hijinks are just enjoyable to watch, now as they were decades ago. At the same time, Oswald's legacy served as a stark reminder of how cooperative meddling can reign artistic ambition, in particular once the character faced numerous creative changes. He faded for the most part into obscurity until being brought back over to the Disney Corporation. There, Oswald has since appeared in minor roles over the years in various Disney properties, further providing how essential he is to the animation industry. 14 not so easy to notice details hidden in Disney movies. In the scene where the animals seem to go crazy while the dentist is attending his niece, Darla, the child in the waiting room, frightened by the commotion and screaming, is holding a Mr. Incredible comic book, the protagonist of Pixar's next movie. In 2009, the production company released the film Up, and it was a great success. But in the scene where the house flies through the window of a little girl's room, you can also see Lesto the bear next to her bed. He'd later turn out to be the new antagonist of the third installment of Toy Story 3. Oh, Lotso the bear. Similarly, in The House of the Witch and Brave, released in 2012, you can see Sully in a wood carving. He's the protagonist of some Monster University, which was released the following year. Okay, I want to... Okay. In Toy Story 2, we discover that Woody is a very old collector's doll, carved by many fans. That shows that it had to have been acquired long before the other toys Andy plays with. In fact, the creation of the saga have made it clear that before being owned by Andy Jr., the Interpreter Cowboy belonged to Andy Sr. In case you hadn't noticed, the famous Pizza Planet delivery van appears in almost every film that was released after Toy Story. The picture above proves it. Okay. It was in Toy Story 2, Brave, Monsters University, WALL-E, Bugs, Finding Nemo. Many people have wondered how Prince Eric could have mistaken Ariel for the human version of Ursula when the difference between the two of them are so striking. One has red hair and blue eyes, the other is a brunette with dark eyes. This is because the only image he has of her came from when he saw her on the beach, but then the sun was shining right on him, and he was just waking up from an unconscious state. Take a look at, It's not a secret, nor is it hidden, that on Pocahontas' right arm there is a tattoo. It is a Peculary, since their small details makes her the only tattooed princess in Disney history. This is inspired by a true story, that of the daughter of the chief tribe, from whom the tattoos were placed for both men and women. Pixar will never miss an opportunity to remind us in very subtle ways what other films they have available or will be released soon. In Zootopia, for instance, you can see versions of the other movies, some released and some not. However, they're all adapted to the animal world. So you see a pig for Big Hero 6, a horse for Tangled, a rhino for Wreck-It Ralph, and so on. no stone is left unturned in Pixar movies. The proof of it is that animators added that to this character, even a small detail that lots of cooks and chefs have. It is very common for them to have small burns on their forearms. They get them accidentally when putting food on the grill or ovens, or even taking it out. This movie has something in common with Brother Bear. They were made at Disney Studio Orlando before it was totally transformed into a theme park. In fact, Mulan was the first and was released just before Lilo and Stitch. On the wall of Lilo's room, a poster of her predecessor can be seen hanging. I can't wait for the live action Lilo and Stitch. I'm super excited. Within the imaginary world that animators create for their stories, there are certain places that are inspired by real life. Landscapes, castles, views of cities, or in this case, a train station. When the character of Wreck-It Ralph went to leave their game, they traveled through the electronic connection until they reached Central Station. From there, they can go to all the games in the room. This fictional station was inspired by the actual, extremely busy Grand Central Station in New York City. Mothers seem to have 20 eyes. They see everything even before it happens. And Helen Pear, the mother of the Incredible family, could not fail to have this mental and natural gift. In the scene in the image in which she falls from a plane into the sea with two of her children, she seems to guess that something is going to fall on them, and she pushes her little ones out of the way. Watching the scene shot by shot or in slow motion, you can see how in a split second she sees the reflection of the falling object in the water and pushes her children away. As we said, a mother doesn't miss a thing. In Toy Story 3, Buzz suffers a malfunction and starts acting strangely. While his friend Woody tries to get him back to normal, he exposes his batteries, which are none other than the By and Large brand. This large chain in the movie, Wall-E, was the manufacturer of both the main robot in charge of cleaning the planet of pollution and the space cruiser that housed humans in space. After so many years, including Easter eggs everywhere, many fans began to develop theories about possible connections between all of them. The idea is that there could be a Disney multiverse in which all the stories are developed in parallel. It would be something similar was what Marvel created for its MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Finally, through an official video on Toy Story's social media accounts, Pixar confirmed that these theories are not so far-fetched after all, and there is a certain connection between all of these stories. 9 restaurant chains from the 80s you totally forgot about. I was born in the 90s, so I don't know any of these. If I do, then they've been around long. The 1980s were a decade of excesses, and the wild retro dining trends of the 80s reflect that. Chain restaurants offering huge portions of American food, often buffet style, for a modest flat fee. Cafeterias were popular with seemingly unlimited choices of any kind of food you wanted, from chicken to steak to seafood. Many families had both parents working full-time jobs for the first time in American history, and parents needed a place to take their kids to dinner after a busy work week. The food was plentiful, the choices were many, and those who lived through the 80s have a certain nostalgia for restaurants they may have eaten at weekly, but are now gone forever. We rounded up some of the most iconic 80s restaurants that most people have probably forgotten about. Cafeteria, fast food joints, and even a pizza joint with an animatronic show on the side. Although a few of these brands may still be around in one form or another, it's just not the same. Read on for 9. 1980s restaurants that may bring you a dose of nostalgia. So for me, the nostalgia one has to be, I say, what was it, Volcano Land? No. Oh, it was... Oh, now I have to ask someone because I forgot the name of it. Darn it. Breakfast Steak Charlie's. Although Breakfast Steak Charlie's never made it outside of the East Coast, it was famously mentioned on numerous TV shows including Friends and Saturday Night Live. This New York staple got its start in 1910. Alexa, stop. When Charles W. Caesar opened the very first Beefsteak Charles, a horse-themed steakhouse inspired by owner's nickname. The restaurant closed in 1934, but it's in the 1970s where our story grows a little bit complicated. In 1975, a restaurant owner, Larry Elman's Steak and Burrito chain, filed for bankruptcy. To breathe new life into his business, Elman's renamed his restaurant Beefsteak Charlie's, creating the chain we know and love. The original Beefsteak Charlie's restaurant never filled a trademark on its name, so Elman was free to franchise under the name. From there, the restaurant flourished, peaking at over 60 locations in the 80s. Beefsteak Charlie's, why am I saying breakfast? Beefsteak Charlie's offered an unlimited salad bar and unlimited beer, wine, and Senegal for a flat rate. Famously, at the salad bar, Beefsteak Charlie's served giant bowls of peel-and-eat shrimp. Perhaps the business model of all-you-can-eat steak, seafood, and alcohol was so profitable to stay afloat. Despite its popularity, the restaurant was losing money. In 1987, E sold his chain location to Bombay Restaurants, but this wasn't enough to save it, and by 1989, locations had dwindled to 35. The last few restaurants held on past the 80s, but by 2009, the very last Beefsteak Charlie's closed. Pup and Taco. Never heard of this. Anyone who lived in Southern California in the 1980s surely must remember Pup and Taco. Pup and Taco was a small chain of fast food restaurants founded in 1965 by Russell Weedlin. It had a widely electronic menu that included not only tacos and burritos, but also burgers, sandwiches, hot dogs. You could get your hot dog in several ways, including with salsa or chili and cheese. You could even get a taco on a bun similar to Taco Bell's Beefer. Also on the menu were refried beans, french fries, soda, and slushies. People living in the 80s have found memories of Pup and Tacos with users online remembering over the chili cheese dog, cherry slushy, and combination burrito. Pup and Taco, however, suffered the fate of being competitive for Taco Bell. You may not know the history of Taco Bell, but the taco chain and Pup and Taco coexisted for decades, with both beginning in the 1960s. However, in the mid-80s, Taco Bell brought nearly every location, which is close to 100, except for the 3 stores in New Mexico, I want to say Albuquerque. Those 3 stores changed their name slightly to Pop and Taco and hung on a while longer, with the last one closing in 2013. That's actually a lot longer than I thought. Chin Chin's? If I'm pronouncing these wrongs, I am so sorry. A night out at Chin Chin's Mexican restaurant was an exciting thing in the 1980s. The servers were bright colorful, brightly colored full-length dresses with puffy white blouses. The interior was also brightly colored with variety decor like Mexican blankets hanging from the walls, and I can't say pinata, right? So that's how I say it. Pinatas. 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 Yes! Dangling from the ceiling. The menu included tacos, enchiladas, tortillas, and specifically drinks such as margaritas and a sanderago. Chin Chin's all through not the most authentic, was many people's first introduction to Mexican food, especially in places in the Midwest that didn't have a large variety of restaurants from other cultures. Yeah, I go to Chipotle, so I can't say much about them not being super, like, Mexican. Chin Chin's began in the Midwest state of Minnesota. It was founded by Maureen McDermott and Green Bay Packers player Max McGee. In 1975, the Tex-Mex chain was a hit, peaking at 2,000 restaurants in various states, although the last Chin Chin's closed in 2004, unable to recover from a nasty hepatitis outbreak. Hepatitis outbreak? Affecting hundreds of people who dined at the restaurant. You can still find Chin Chin's name on store-bought flour tortillas and salsa. If you find yourself feeling nostalgic for Chin Chin's, we have good news. Michael McDermott, son of Mo McDermott, has announced his plan to reopen Chin Chin's restaurant in 2025. Oh, although we don't have the exact details yet, McDermott said in a press release, "We have seen the impact of restaurants has had on individuals and families across the country and believe there's a strong opportunity to bring back in a way that resonates with today's customers." The Tiptons. Okay, that's just funny to me. And I say that not to be rude. Okay, Tiptons. So, I did not grow up with these fast food chains. I was born in 1994. I only know some of these. And the Tiptons is just funny to me because I grew up with Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. And the hotel was named the Tipton. While Tipton's still lives on today as Tipton's Pies, a Kansas City chain that specializes in pies, the restaurant it once was is long gone. Tipton's Restaurant Inc. was founded in 1979 with locations around the Midwest and Texas, so people who buy a Tipton's pie today may not know it was once a restaurant with a wide variety of American food. Tipton's offer American dinner food with a typical large dinner style menu that included burgers, breakfast foods, salads, sandwiches, chicken pot pies, and soups. But that's not all. You could also had your choice of steak, steak supreme, or a steak sandwich. On the so-called light menu, written items that today we might not consider healthy eating, such as pasta salad, a chicken burrito, or liver or onions. Oh, I still like my pasta salad, thank you very much, but it's vegetarian. But the start of the Tiptons was always in dessert. You could get just about any pie you could dream of. In addition to the usual fruit pies, there were harder to find flavors such as rhubarb and boysenberry. There were also chocolate banana pies, coconut custard, French skill, and so many more. But Tipton's restaurant began to fade, and by 2004, every restaurant had closed. The company, however, knew they had a good thing with their pies and kept the pie bakery running. VIP restaurants, located up and down the West Coast in the 1980s, was the dinner-styled VIP restaurant. The first VIP was opened in 1968 in Oregon by Keith and Robert Smith. The key to the chain's success was the owner's strategy of opening restaurants along highway exit, making VIPs a common stop on the road trips. Similar to Denny's, another restaurant that has closed hundreds of locations, it also kept late hours, making it a place to grab a bite to eat any time of the day or night. I know what Denny's is, that's just funny to me. Like a typical diner, you could get a breakfast food all day. The menu also offered a variety of other American foods, including sandwiches, soups, burgers, and salads. With its West Coast location, there was plenty of seafood on the dinner menu, including shrimp, clams, strips, and scallops. An old menu shows a seafood platter with shrimp, whitefish, scallions, French fries for just $3.35. Wow, dang, that is cheap. I don't eat that stuff because I'm a vegetarian who doesn't eat seafood. But I still find that pretty cheap and pretty cool for people who do eat that. That is like, wow. If seafood's not your thing, there were steak, fried chicken, veal stock, and plenty more. VIP must have been giving Denny's a little too much competition because Denny's bought 35 VIP locations in the early 80s. By the end of the decade, VIP sold off their remaining restaurants to various companies, and VIP restaurants were no more. Industries and corporations, the parent company switched to the hotel business and operates hotels to this day. Marisson's Cafeteria. Cafeterias and their all-you-can-eat buffet style of dinner. See, when I think of cafeteria, I think of mall cafeteria where there's one I have, it has like an Annie's, a Chipotle, a Chick-fil-A, another place that got shut down that I loved, but I don't want to give out the name because it got shut down. Cafeteria and their all-you-can-eat buffet style of dining were big in the 1880s. Diners loved to head to restaurants with vast areas of American-style food that you could pile high on plates and go back for seconds, thirds, or even more. The 1980s were a profitable time for Marisson's Cafeteria, which got its start in 1920 as one of the first restaurants offering cafeteria-style dining. Customers loved the concept of home-cooked meals at reasonable prices. And Maris flourished. Marinus' son, I can't pronounce this name. Cafeteria had a few dishes that diners still remember today, such as the almond cream pie, Spanish rice, and Chick-a-lay Madisons, held on through the Great Depression and the rotation of World War II. By the time shopping malls started popping up everywhere, M's was in a good place to add its restaurants at the anchor store. Taking advantage of hungry shoppers looking for a meal, M Cafeteria peaked in the 1980s, but by the 90s, the old Cafeteria Steiner Diner was falling out of fashion. But by 1996, the parent company dissolved the brand, turning M's Cafeteria into Marisson's Healthcare, among other supersized. M's Healthcare is still in business today and offers food services for nursing homes and hospitals. That's interesting. Pioneer Chicken aimed the burger joints and taco shops at the fast food industry. In the 1960s, arrived the fried chicken takeout restaurant. Well, see, the only one I really know of from back then was just KFC. Pioneer Chicken, the first Pioneer Chicken, opened in 1960 in the Echo Park neighborhood of Los Angeles. California is often called the unofficial birthplace of fast food, with McDonald's, Jack in the Box, what is Jack in the Box, and Taco Bell, and many others. Okay, what is Jack in the Box? Don't be mean to me. I did not grow up in California. Where I grew up, we have Wawa. That tells you what side of the U.S. I live on. And many other originate there. Los Angeles, with its highways and car culture, was the perfect place to grab a quick meal to eat in your vehicle. Pioneer Chicken continued to expand throughout the 1970s, making it a hotspot for fried chicken in the 1980s. More than just a restaurant, Pioneer Chicken intertwined its way into pop culture. In 1981, Hey Jabbar was featured in the chain's TV ad for its fish and chips meal. In 1985, the extra of the restaurant can be seen in the background of the Rhymes of the Night music video for 80s band DeBarger. Finally, if you look closely at the opening sequence of the sitcom Full House, you can see a box of Pioneer's chicken set next to baby Michelle on a blanket. Really? I've seen reruns of Full House since I was a kid, and I do mean reruns. You know, you go after school, you sit home, and then it's reruns. Like that, Sabrina the Fresh Prince, all the reruns back in the day. In 1989, Pioneer Chicken peaked at 207 locations at the West Coast, but the end came soon after with bankruptcy, sell-offs. However, if you have a longing for Pioneer Chicken, you aren't completely out of luck. 2 locations were not sold and remain to this day in Los Angeles in the neighborhood of Bell Gardens and Bolea Heights. I'd have to take hours